coming up on the 70% Podcast.
And every child should be able to feel safe, respected, and comfortable in their space. Every child.
Right.
No matter if they're transgender, male, female, whatever. Every child or every person
right.
should feel safe, respected, and comfortable in their space.
And we don't know for sure exactly what is being said in those classrooms. You're setting yourself up for this. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's fine. But look at where we are now.
Right. And as parents, we should be more involved.
Do not get afraid or be afraid of being called a domestic terrorist.
Yeah. We need to be more involved in what our kids are learning in that school. Critical race theory, in the beginning, I was like, hey, I was staunch about, no, this needs to be taught. When I researched it and understood how it's being taught, I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're teaching black people that we're inferior? Can I say something that's going to be unpopular?
Sure.
As a black person in America, It doesn't matter who's in office, I win.
How so?
The 70% Podcast with your host, Amy Alexander and Mike Sewell.
So thanks for joining the 70% Podcast this evening. And we're going to talk about some good stuff tonight.
We are. There's so much.
There is a lot.
There's a lot.
Last week we were talking about Let's Go Brandon.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit.
Because that's now like a swear word or something offensive.
Mm-hmm.
I heard on the radio, a local station, that the radio personality, his son went to school with a Let's Go Brandon shirt on, and they called the mom, sounds like they're divorced or whatever, called the mom and had her come pick him up.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
What bizarro world are we in now? This is really a bizarro world that we're in.
We're in the Obama-Biden bizarro world.
It's actually. I just came from a parent meeting about the some things that are going on in our kids' high school. Now, I'm not going to tell you specifically at high school or where it's at or anything like that, but here's what's happening.
Okay.
There's a person who was born what we consider traditionally a male.
Biologically a male.
Correct. Who doesn't feel comfortable in the men's room because they identify as a female.
Okay.
So this person is now, by federal law, allowed to go into the girls' bathroom. So this one person, it's just one person in the school, okay, is allowed to make X amount of people feel uncomfortable because that one person is uncomfortable in the men's room, okay. So a friend of mine, and I struggle with this, okay, because I have people in my family who are in the LGBTQ community. It's not, and I love them. They're my people, you know. So I don't have a problem with the community itself, but I do have a problem when you have one person that's able to make, 100 people feel uncomfortable. I don't think that's a
right.
I don't think it should work that way. But anyway, a friend of mine, I was sitting down talking to her the other day, and she was like, you know what? This is not about sexuality or how a person feels or anything like that. This is more about safety and making children themselves feel comfortable in general. So all children. So even the person who considers themselves a transgender and the male students and the female students, they all need to feel safe,
right,
comfortable in their own space.
Yes.
And I agree.
However,
Okay.
how do you, when you have differing views about what that comfortable space is and who is allowed the comfortable space? Like everybody should have a comfortable space, but like you're saying, you don't want a man, a biological man, in the bathroom with your daughter.
I do not.
I don't know if there are any issues or any complaints or anything like that. But if it makes the girls uncomfortable, then where is?
But see, that's the thing. I think that's where and this my friend that I was talking to helped me understand this as well, and because I was having a hard time with that myself. I'm like, look, this person should not be allowed to make these people feel uncomfortable, even if they feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, one person shouldn't be able to make the populace feel uncomfortable. And she was like, Mike, first off, these are kids we're talking about here. And she's right.
Right.
And every child should be able to feel safe, respected, and comfortable in their space. Every child.
Right.
No matter if they're transgender, male, female, pansexual, whatever. Every child or every person
right.
should feel safe, respected, and comfortable in their space.
Okay.
So that's the issue. That's the main issue, because that particular child doesn't feel safe, comfortable, and respected in the men's room.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel that they would be safe, comfortable, and respected in the female or in the women's bathroom.
But then the women.
But now the women feel,
right.
the girls in there feel uncomfortable.
There are only two things that you can do.
Okay, what's that?
You can remove that uncomfortable person from the situation, or you can change the attitudes of the people that are feeling uncomfortable.
I disagree. One of the things that my friend said that should be done is single bathrooms.
Right. Why don't they get to use the teacher's lounge bathroom?
Well, you have a bathroom that has a toilet and a shower, because they got to change for class or whatever, or take a shower before after sports or whatever. So you have a toilet, a shower, a sink in this bathroom, just like you do at home, and you have a door, and you have 4 or 5 of those bathrooms in the school that anybody can use anytime. So there's no more male or female bathrooms.
Right. We have that. There are unisex bathrooms all over the place.
Right. So, but you take away the male female component to that, right, and just make bathrooms. It's just a bathroom.
What about
so
gyms?
Anybody can use the bathroom.
What about locker rooms?
And that's what I'm saying. So when you get ready to go change for the gym, the kids line up, they go into one of the bathrooms, they change, and they come out and they go to gym class. When they're ready to come back, they go back into the class, they go back to the bathroom, they change, they take a shower, they change, and they come out of the bathroom, and the next child goes in there. Now everybody, it's a single bathroom. That circumvents a lot of different things. One, you don't have a group setting where people are in the bathroom vaping or smoking or whatever the kids are doing these days.
Smoking in the boys' room. Sorry.
No.
I'm not a singer. I shouldn't even do that.
No, that was okay. That was okay.
Thanks. I'm not going to change my day job. But.
You know who I wanted? I would love, one of my favorite artists is King Brown. And I would love to be able to sing like him. Okay. He's got a deep voice like I do. Mm-hmm. But I can't sing to save my life. Anyway, back
transgender bathrooms in high school.
I got squirreled away a little bit.
Come back, Mike. I'm throwing out the fishing line.
But I just think that the narrative of people in general feeling safe and comfortable in their own space is where we should have this argument. It should not be, because here's the thing. Do you have anything against, be completely candid, do you have anything against transgender people or gay people or LGBTQ?
No, not at all.
Nothing at all. You just don't want to feel uncomfortable in your space, correct?
I guess I don't even think about it that way. I just
personally, if I'm standing in the men's stall, okay, and a transgender person walks in with a dress on and hair and makeup and looks like a woman or whatever the case may be, and then pulls up their skirt and they're going just like I'm going in the stall, that's going to make me uncomfortable.
Why?
Not because,
there are transgender people out there, and if that guy has a penis,
right,
but he wants to dress in dresses, then why are you uncomfortable?
Because for me, it's not my norm, okay, and it's not against that person,
right?
It's just for me, this is who I am.
So it's all about
just
you.
Just like it's not okay for me to make that person feel uncomfortable. It's not okay for that person to make me feel uncomfortable either. Okay,
you're never gonna survive in a world where nobody can make anybody feel uncomfortable.
But if you're in a space where you should be able to feel comfortable, you're in a men's room or you're in a bathroom in general. So, and I think this should go throughout when it comes to any bathrooms. So instead of having a bathroom like a men's room, right, and you have 7 different, urinals and 5 different stalls to go, number 2 in.
There should just be a sign that says him or her or whatever.
There should just be a bathroom where you walk in the door, and that's the only thing that's in there is a toilet and a sink.
How do you?
And you have 4 or 5 of them sitting in a row.
You're talking about reconstructing school buildings.
Even if, let's just say hypothetically, you took the sinks, okay, and you put them outside. So you have to. So you go into this stall and you have it's an open space and every toilet has a door with a lock on it. And you open that door, you walk in, you lock the door behind you, you use the bathroom, you come back out, you walk into the common space and you wash your hands. Okay,
so even girls and boys will be there, just like in a college dorm.
Correct. So you
co-ed dorm,
but you have that space where you can use the bathroom,
and you would be more comfortable with that.
It's a stall, top to bottom. The doors are closing, and it's top to bottom. It's just like walking into your bathroom at home, except you don't have a sink in there or a shower in there. It's just a toilet and a closet. You walk in, you close the door, you
the
lock
water
it.
Closet. The loo.
So anybody could see you walking into this space, but they can't see what you're doing in there once you're in there. So you can do whatever it is that you need to do in there, and then you walk out into the common space, in the common area, and you wash your hands.
Well,
what's the big deal?
Right. But men have been trained to pee in urinals for a long time. Like, why?
Well, now they got to sit down. So what?
But you have to sit down. I don't think just because there's a toilet, that means you have to sit down. I guess it depends if you want to sit down. So
what you're saying is that women would have to clean up every time they go to the bathroom because some man went in there and sprayed all over the place.
Well, quit doing that.
Me? I sit down.
Okay, this has gotten way past the... Okay, welcome to the 70% podcast, everybody.
I'm so teasing.
Here we go.
I'm teasing. No. I'm just being silly.
Yeah. No, it is unfortunate that you have to go to school board meetings in order to voice your opinion on this.
Right.
I think, those are good ideas, Mike, but, our governments, whether it's local, state, whatever, would prefer to spend money on other things than to make everybody happy like that.
It's not about making everybody happy. It's about making everyone feel safe and respected in their space. Okay, so let's take the Loudoun School District for example. There was a transgender person who was allowed to use the girls' bathroom. Okay, and this person sexually assaulted a young lady in that bathroom. Instead of the school board, the school itself and the school board prosecuting this person, they sent this person to a different school.
Yes,
and they put this stuff and they brushed this stuff under the rug. Now this person was sent to a different school, and then they did the same thing,
right,
in a different school. And then that's when all of this came out, You know, that these things were happening and the school board was pushing it under the rug. And now the parents are being told that they are domestic terrorists because they're speaking up against that type of stuff and speaking up against critical race theory and speaking up, you know, as parents.
Right.
They're speaking up against these things and they're being told. Parents
are being told
that
it's none of their business,
basically. It's none of their business.
And if you want to keep pushing the issue, we're going to consider you domestic terrorists.
Right.
And that's BS, for sure.
Well, in addition, what was that article I sent you today? So if you have the cold.
If you have the cold.
If you go to school.
Yes.
As a child, as a parent, if you send your child to school.
And you have the cold.
And the school decides that across the board this day they're going to give everyone a shot. And if your child is in school that day,
right, it's up to you to know.
By proxy, you're saying it's okay for them to do that.
It's up to you to know that the days that the shots are given for colds. And it's up to you to keep your kids out of school.
Right.
Nowhere in that article you sent me did it say whether or not those kids would be considered truant. If those kids would be, you let that. I mean, now there are a majority of kids that are protected from the cold. And so how is that going to reflect? Are the kids that aren't going to feel comfortable?
I don't understand when and how the parents don't have any more rights.
We used to
have the PTA meetings.
Right.
We used to have, you know, the parents used to be able to go to school.
Our generation lost control. It's our generation, Mike. Our generation lost control of the situation. We allowed ourselves to parent working households, needed to be better than the Joneses and have all the stuff that the Industrial Revolution brought us, and allowed and left the rearing of our children to these public entities. And
you really think that's where we lost that?
Do you?
And now we're trying to fight to get that back?
Yes, that's exactly what I think.
I don't understand how you can call parents who are concerned about their children domestic terrorists.
No, I'm not. Right. I don't agree with that at all. I'm only saying that for about 30 decades now, we relied on the school system to teach our kids what they need to know without paying attention to what those kids are actually learning. I mean, in some cases, yeah. And this is being very generalizing right now. So I'm not,
I understand what you're saying.
Anybody that's listening, I totally paid attention, and got involved.
Right.
But now now look what's going on. And now all these parents are like, well, I got to start homeschooling. Well, that should have probably started about 20 years ago. But guess what? They didn't think homeschool, the institution of our education didn't allow homeschooling or didn't make homeschooling a beneficial way for a kid to grow up.
Right. Homeschooling, charter schooling, private schooling. There's a lot of different ways to educate children today without public school. And if the public school system is not going to listen to the parents, they're not going to respect parents' rights, then in my opinion, it's time to pull the kids out of the damn school.
Yeah.
Either homeschool them, send them to a charter school, or send them to a private school. There are grants, government grants, that you can get to send your child to a private school. So, okay, so you're not Christian. You know what? Guess what? Send your kid to a Christian school. You don't have to worry about all of this crap that's going on in public school. The Christian school is going to respect you as a parent. Okay? So what? They have Christian beliefs. Okay? Now, I mean, whatever. If you want to protect your children,
right.
If you want your rights back, get your kids out of public school. I'm lucky. My daughter has one more year. And how do I say this respectfully of everyone else? I've been blessed enough to raise her in a way that she is very, she's respectful of everyone's rights and beliefs, but at the same time, she's very strong in her beliefs.
Right.
So she's actually the president of a diversity club in her school. And although she advocates for diversity, there are some things that she believes, to her and herself in her private life that should not be done. And I'm not going to go into detail. I don't want to put my
But there
daughter,
is like
my
a natural progression of
blast.
things that should be just left alone.
But as a parent, I'm able to help her develop and teach her that she can have her own mind. She can feel her the way she wants to feel and have her own belief system. And for the school to take that away from parents is absolutely ridiculous. And we're allowing this to happen.
We have been allowing it to happen. So we went through and again, generalizing, but the 60s and 70s, all those people that ended up being college professors were very liberal and very in with the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They don't think, it takes a village to raise a child. Kind of attitude towards education, and those are the ones that ended up becoming the teachers and the professors and everything else that have been, it's when you have a group of students, say 70, well, let's just take it from like a grade school level. You have 25 kids that are required to sit in those classes all day long, and we don't know for sure exactly what is being said in those classrooms. You're setting yourself up for this. Everybody wants to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's fine, but look at where we are now.
Right. And as parents, we should be more involved.
Do not get afraid or be afraid of being called a domestic terrorist.
Yeah. We need to be more involved in what our kids are learning in that school and what they're being taught in school. There's some schools and don't quote me on this or anything like that, because these were stupid YouTube videos and stuff like that I've watched. But there's in some schools, the books that students are reading about sex in general are very graphic. Okay, and we're talking about 5th and 6th graders. It's extremely graphic about this Tommy did such and such to Bobby.
Right. Now they're trying to make it commonplace.
Right. And it's absolutely ridiculous that type of material would be allowed in any school system.
Right. And I have nothing against the gay community. I have not.
No,
if that's
it's not about
to each
that.
their own and whatever, but
it's about teaching young children about all of this sexual stuff that they don't. Here's the thing. Nobody taught us this crap when we were kids, and we learned it anyway. They're going to learn it. Life is going to happen to them. They're going to learn about sex.
Well, it should be the parent responsibility.
Exactly. And
I think too many parents just, hey, the school, they're in school all day. I'm at work all day. The teachers will figure it out and teach them what they need to teach them. And I know a lot of people that are teachers.
Also.
Yeah.
Divorce rate is up. We got the one parent households, whether it's the father or the mother. They're trying to work and take care of take care of the responsibilities of the household.
Well, even some people that aren't working aren't taking responsibility for their kids' lives, but it doesn't the point of the story being there are ways to make sure that you take ownership of whatever it is that your kids are learning.
Right.
Have those conversations with them. If they come home and say, "Oh my God, you don't want to believe what we're learning today," and you don't agree with it, let the school board know.
Right.
Right. I feel like there are a lot of people just kind of bitching about stuff on social media, but not really. And guys, social media is a great way to vent and to exchange information, but it is not a way to fix things.
So here's the deal. Here's the gist of the conversation. Here's the meat and potatoes. Parents, you have kids in school. We need to get out there and find out exactly what's going on in these schools. We need to bring back the PTA type meetings. We need to get involved in what's going on in the school board. We need to go sit in those meetings. And they even have Zoom now, where a lot of school board meetings are being Zoomed. So you don't even have to be at the meeting. You could just sit on your computer or your phone and Zoom into these meetings, and be parents. We need to get involved in what's happening in the school systems and what's happening with our children today.
Right.
Okay, this hands-off parenting where we send our kids to school for 8 hours and like, oh, thank God the kids are gone. No, we can't do that anymore because they're being taught things.
Yeah, I can't wait till August. Right.
Yeah. Oh, summer's. Oh my God, summer's here. Okay, I can't wait to send the kid back. Yeah. Okay, let's send them back to school, but let's send them back to school knowing what they're being taught. We have to get involved, and I know it's tough to work 8 hours a day, or 10 hours a day, or 12 hours a day, or whatever it is as a parent that you're working,
right,
and have to come home and go to a PTA meeting or go to a school board meeting or anything like that. I know it's tough, but if we don't put checks and balances on what our government officials are doing, they are running amok. And it's our fault. It
is, because we haven't checked them in so long.
Right.
They're just doing it. Things change, the administration changes, the curriculum changes, and we're just like, okay, well, they're still going to school from 7:30 to 3:30 and getting grades.
What we're worried about is, did you get an A in math? Did you get a B in science? Did you get a C in history? That's all we're worried about. What grades did you get in school?
Right. Not what you're learning to get those grades.
What you're learning specifically. Exactly. And that's what we need to do. We need to be more concerned as parents about what our children are learning and less concerned about the grade that they get. Do we want our kids to get good grades? Yes. But guess what? Every child is not going to be a freaking A student, period. Okay? Some kids are going to be C students, and we need to just be freaking happy that they're C students. Okay? Right. We need to get off of this high horse about we want our children to be, this academic genius. Right.
I think we've learned enough in the last 2 decades, especially the last decade, to know that a high school or college education doesn't necessarily tell you where you're going to end up in life.
Absolutely. Here's the thing. In high school, my 3rd year in 9th grade, was voted the least likely to succeed. Okay?
Okay.
Now, if you look at all the people I grew up with, I'm a lot more successful than they are.
You're doing all right.
Well, yeah. No, not only did I get a associate's degree in marketing, but I also got a bachelor's degree in business, and became a decent, halfway decent realtor. And
I was wondering what that other word was. So before I agreed, you are a great realtor.
Studying for my broker's license right now, and probably open my own brokerage next year. So when it comes to how kids learn and whether or not they're going to be successful, it has absolutely nothing to do with the grades, and it has everything to do with the child's ability to overcome and to succeed on their own. So some children are going to have, and I'm putting this in quotes, ADD or ADHD or whatever you want to freaking call it. Okay. Every student doesn't learn the same way.
Right.
There was a study about, and I think Jenny said it. There was a study about black students who, if they had snacks while they were learning, they learned more. Or they learned better that way while they're having snacks.
Right. Brain food, though, not like chocolate and...
like nuts and stuff like that. But let's just change that. Let's just say, student A or student B or whatever. Student A is, he's a little bit more rambunctious or whatever than student B. Student B is a little bit more studious. He could sit in his seat and whatever case. 9 times out of 10, when you look at statistically, okay, who's running companies, who's the entrepreneurs of the world, they're C students.
Yeah, there are.
Or students that have failed.
Right.
The A students are working for the C students.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is definitely developed by people that have more of a
creative.
Is that right
thinking,
brain or left brain?
Big thinking,
yeah,
ability.
Yeah, right brained. The right brain thinking.
And yet left brain conscientious. When you look at entrepreneurs like an Elon Musk, I mean, he's a different kind of category because I'm pretty sure that guy is not from Earth. When you hear him talk,
He's trying to get back home, everybody.
but if you look at those people,
He said that he was different.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah.
He said himself that he's different.
Well, and I think
right brain
Yeah.
creativity.
Yeah.
Both of you possess that.
I have. I'm very left. I mean, I'm very statistical, and I try to be, logical. But I'm also very right brain, where I just ideas. I mean, my brain is like all I do. Really, my existence is putting puzzle pieces together in my brain.
And personally, I'm all over the place. I'm literally all over, like in a 24, well, not 24 hours, let's say, because I work probably 12, 13 hours a day. So in a 12 or 13 hour day, okay, I literally go from, okay, I'm working on this particular project as an agent, and as I'm going through the day, my mind is focused on, okay, so now I want to be a broker, and then I'm going to open a brokerage, and then, I'm going to have 25 agents underneath me. And literally my mind is, and then I swirl back to, I got to go on vacation next week with my daughter. I got to go.
I think I'm going to write a novel.
Yeah, and that
right. I'm thinking about writing
that
a novel.
happens to the best of us. I honestly think that the definition of ADD applies to all of us. It's just the extent to it of it. And I also truly believe that there is a lot in our diet and our atmosphere or our environment that is triggering that.
Yeah. But I also believe that there's some people that are just truly linear. They can sit and just focus on one thing at a time and do it extremely well.
Yeah. But that doesn't
what I
mean
mean?
if you can't do that, you're not going to be successful.
But that's what the school system is teaching you. That you have to sit down and you have to do this particular project, and you have to do it well, and you have to get an A, and this, that, and the other.
The school system is teaching everybody, or making us all believe, that the only way to success is through the path of education.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's not necessarily true. Yes, you need to know the ways of the world, and you need, I would say through 8th grade, you should be getting your general eds. Once you hit high school, if you have something that you're passionate about, say it's economics, say it's philosophy, you should be able to start building on that. And if you're an artist and you love art, why are you being forced to take calculus?
Do you know in the New York City school system, they do it that way? They have specialized high schools.
That's the way they do it in other countries.
Business, for people who are artists or whatever the case. In New York City, they have specialized high schools for people who want to specialize in something, other than the traditional way of being educated. And that should be across the board. In my opinion, you're absolutely correct. That should be across the board.
Like a Juilliard. I mean,
Juilliard,
we were growing up. We're all about the same age when we were growing up.
Right.
Fame.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just hanging out in the cafeteria.
That brought my passion.
Oh my God,
dancing.
Jennifer
Like,
Beal
I
made
love
the
dancing.
sweatshirt off the shoulder the most popular thing on the planet.
Of course. But I mean, look back at the podcast we did, just kind of impromptu with Amy, you and your nephew, Eli. Eli is a very creative individual.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking out of class here, he said. So, and he had a rough time with
Conforming to
things.
conforming.
My own daughter, second semester sophomore, we went, it was too much of a distraction for, I'm not going to go into it, but she ended up doing the online learning. That's where we're heading. We have the technology to do that.
Right.
And there were some tough things socially. Everyone was yelling at us going, how could you? This is against the,
The
traditional way of
socially
doing
blah, blah,
it.
blah.
Right.
She seems fine. It just wasn't her.
Yeah, you have a very well.
learning
And
capacity.
and here's the thing. My daughter, she loves school.
Yeah.
Not because she wants to learn, because she wants to socialize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She loves being around people. She loves social.
If you're not a
Now, don't
social
get-
being, school
don't-
can
don't-
be very
don't-
intimidating.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, she's a smart girl. I mean, she's taking college classes in the summertime and stuff like that, all on her own.
Yeah.
You know, she actually forced me to let her do stuff like that. But so she's a smart kid. However, her main reason for going to school is so that she could be around people. She's an extrovert. She loves school. She loves being around her people.
loved
She
school
loves being
that
in
because-
clubs.
I know.
You know, she loves being
It was
in
like
clubs.
Miss
She
Party
loves-
in school or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
She enjoys that stuff, and she gets decent grades. You know, is she a straight A student? No, but does she get good grades? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's some students or some kids that conform to that and love it, and it's okay. What I'm getting at, you know, when we started this conversation off, and it's not specifically about transgender. What it's about is we are allowing our school boards to run amok. We're allowing the public school system in general to run amok, and we're not doing anything about it. And as parents, we need to step up, step in, and take control.
Right.
Because without our students, guess what? They don't have a freaking job.
Right.
The school board doesn't have a job. The teachers don't have a job. Let's move them all to private schools. Let's move them to charter schools. Let's move them to a place that they're going to listen to us as parents.
Right. And I don't know that run amok is necessarily when I think of it, you know, run amok, I feel like sounds like it's not organized at all. It is very organized, but it's organized to their agenda and to their way of thinking. And it doesn't allow for things like patriotism. It doesn't allow for things like free thought that doesn't conform to whatever it is that they're.
Well, and see, that's the thing. This is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is this is our kids we're talking.
This is our kids. You're talking about the next generation or the generations that are eventually going to be running this country and in control while we are trying to comfortably
retire,
get on with our golden years.
Yeah. And do we want our kids to be, you know, or the people that are running the country? Do we want them to be divided by race?
No.
I mean, after how many years already?
We've been divided by race for
decades.
For centuries.
It's enough already. Do we still want to perpetuate that? Do we want our children to continue that? So critical race theory being taught as if, you know, and you know me. I mean, we talked about this. We had the podcast about it. I'm a advocate for critical race theory as long as it's being taught as this is our history, not this is how we have to or are going to end up being. You know, if we're teaching our children that these are the things that happened,
right.
Okay. And I was talking to you the other day when we were sitting down. If black people had people from Africa, black people from Africa had built boats and sailed across the seas and came to America, we would have conquered the Indians as well. We would have taken over the United States. And if we went into Europe and seen that white people were being enslaved and sold, we would have bought those slaves and then eventually circumvented that process and grabbed our white slaves and brought them here to the United States to work our fields. Okay. Here's the thing. Back then, that's what happened. We were conquering. We were conquering the world. And that's what people were doing. Does it make it right? Absolutely not.
Right.
It doesn't make it right. However, that's what happened. And guess what? White people came out on top. Great. Whatever. Today, we don't have to live that way.
No.
We're not victims anymore as black people. And white people aren't perpetuating racist thoughts and patterns
Not all of
anymore.
them.
Come on.
Yeah.
Some white people out there still talking about let's send them back to Africa and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And little do they know if they sent us back to Africa, we'd end up taking over the United States. But anyway, that's a whole nother ball game. We're not even going to get into that conversation. So are there pockets out there that are like that? Absolutely.
Right.
But for the large populace, and that's the reason why we have this show, because we truly believe in our hearts that 70% of people living in 70% of Americans in the United States are not racist.
No.
We're not against each other. We
would-
don't hate one another.
We would just like the tension to go away, the back and forth to go away, the race baiting to go away, the everything that they are doing to keep us divided. A lot of us don't fall into that category, but we are also the silent majority.
Right.
So we're not making a noise big enough to get them to understand that they're not going to get away with it forever. They can't.
I have to go back to how we started this conversation off with the school board and the system and stuff like that. If we want things to change, we need to be more actively involved as parents to make the change in our children. So that they can continue the change as they grow up and become productive members of society.
Right. Without shoveling or steamrolling them into a specific category as to how we think they should be.
No, we have to put them in a position where we're allowing them to think for themselves. My kids, I don't make them, I didn't tell them that they need to be conservative, so anybody that's listening to this show probably understands by now that I am not a liberal, but I'm not a staunch conservative either. I fall somewhere in the middle, which is the reason for the show.
Right. I think you believe in individual rights and keeping the government out of your business,
right?
Which
but
is
I
the
also
definition
believe in
of
capitalism
libertarian,
also,
right? So you're a libertarian. You're a libertarian.
I don't know. That
You
just
don't?
doesn't fit well with me.
Well,
I'm still trying to find jerseys. Like, are you a Packer?
Oh, yeah, no, I am not a Packer
Bear
fan.
fan?
I don't
That's
watch
how we're
sports at all, but that's a whole nother thing.
yeah. I think a lot of people feel powerless because they're like, oh, it's the government. They got voted in, so that's we're stuck with it. Or if they don't say anything or don't pay attention, then it's just going to go away. And that is not the case. The situation we're in now has been building up for decades, and it's going to come to a head.
But how it's going to come to a head is up to us. So we can continue to bury our head in the sand and allow the same things to continue and be perpetuated, or we can stand up collectively and do something about it.
Yeah. Even though they don't even realize it's actual tyranny at this point, they get so fed up that it will boil over.
At some point.
I mean, history repeats itself because nobody listens. Yeah.
I'm only laughing because you whispered that.
I know. That's one of my favorite sayings or memes or whatever. Because we know there are things that have happened in our past that show that this is the direction that we're going in. And a lot of it stems from politics and the people that we elect to lead us. Now, if you're going to elect somebody to lead you that has misled you in the past, then why would you think anything changes?
Yeah. So let's just put it out there. I mean, here's the deal. Our president had 27, 47, whatever years in
like 38, I think, or something like that. 30 something. Yeah.
Okay.
Our current president.
Right. Our current president had that many years to make changes and to do something right for the people. And he did absolutely nothing, especially for the black community. He harmed the black community more than anyone, when it comes to, politicians or whatever. Okay.
Right.
And we allowed this guy to become our president, thinking that he's going to make any changes. Well, guess what?
Without rallies, without speeches, without...
Right. Now we're in a situation where we're worse off than we were a year ago. Literally a year ago. 1 year ago, our country is now worse off with under this leadership that we have right now
Right.
than we were just a year ago. So everybody wanted to get the crass, uneloquent person out of office
The orange guy.
so that they can put some half-baked anyway. Oh Lord.
So
It's not a Republican Democrat thing. It just really
it's
isn't.
not.
We have this guy who did nothing for many years. And
Even
we
as
put
vice
him in
president,
office
he didn't complete the projects he was in charge
He
of.
was in Congress, he was in the Senate, he was in the vice presidency. He did nothing. And now all of a sudden as president he's going to do something? No, he's doing worse he's failed in every aspect. Every aspect, everything he touched turns to
Economy,
shit. He's like the opposite of
policy.
Midas. Instead of everything turning to gold, it's turning to shit. Everything he touches. Okay?
Yep.
So are we really going
And
to
he's
continue
embarrassing the crap out of us. Didn't he just...
poop his pants? I don't know if that's
I don't
true.
want him to
I
say
don't know
that's
if
true, but I do know
I didn't
that
fact
he...
check that.
Yeah. I do know there was something going
He
on.
did fall asleep though.
He fell asleep,
Yeah, he
and
fell asleep and he had to be
what
woken
is the
up.
word that we use for broke wind in front of royalty or something? I don't know. I've gotten
Fart.
to yes. So let me ask you this: we all are pretty sure that Biden does not have the cognizance or the mental capacity to run a country, right?
I agree.
So who's running the country?
There's absolutely no way he's actually running he's
He's not running anything. He's
No,
he's the I mean,
he's the puppet. He's the puppet that they have up there, and they're gonna continue to have this puppet.
I mean the
in our face
executive
until
branch is
until he can't think anymore.
right, and we don't even. I mean, with the way technology
He's 1
is,
year in office. 1 year, and this is what's going on.
this is
already?
what's going on. So we're paying
Can't
3
even think
times.
straight.
He can't think straight. He can't keep his bodily functions in check.
So it's actually Obama that's running the show right now, right? That's what's
That's
happening.
my belief. I mean, why would an ex-president stay around with his personal advisor, Valerie Jarrett? And people criticize me for this all the time, but I believe that Barack Obama's presidency was merely a bullet point on his resume to prove himself to a global leader, such as the WHO or OPEC, or that it was just a stepping stone. And now, how do we know Trump is a Russian operative and blah, 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 blah. So
And
Who's Biden?
None of that was founded.
No.
None of it was founded. And now we're just brushing under the rug.
except for mainstream media, of course, we're like, yeah, that's the way it goes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, in all their investigative reporting. So I don't feel like we solved any of the world's problems today. But
we never do. And here's the thing. This show is not about solving problems.
it's
This show is about being
recognizing.
able to have a communication and understanding that we have different beliefs, different values, and a difference of opinion. However, we don't have to hate each other because of that.
No.
And there are at least 70% of people who are in America, in the United States, who feel the same way. We just need to get that voice heard. We need to get this show out there so that people can hear.
We need to pick up followers.
We can all come together and start voting the right people into office.
Right. And there are other
Collectively.
groups just like us that
Yeah.
if we could just all find a way to get together,
come together.
to come together and recognize that
We're
the
not-
divisiveness is not coming from us.
Right.
It's
No.
coming from them.
Exactly.
And when you realize that it doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat
Mm-hmm.
or what the political affiliation is, it's truly government
Right.
against the people.
We're not. This is not a conservative show. This is not a liberal show. Now, my views lean more towards the middle? Like I don't believe in greed. But I don't believe in I don't believe in all of these social giveaways or anything like you know what I mean.
So you don't want $450,000 to go to illegal?
Can I say something that's going to be unpopular?
Sure.
As a black person in America, it doesn't matter who's in office. I win.
How so?
If Republicans are in office, they build programs and have agendas that they're not necessarily giving anything away, but they're not actively working against black people,
right,
to stop us from succeeding. And they're doing tax cuts, and they're doing things so an entrepreneur like myself, a black entrepreneur like myself, can succeed.
Right.
Okay.
So you get there's a lot of grants out there, and there's a lot of opportunities.
And here's the thing: if Democrats are in office and they're giving money away to black people or people of color, guess what? I win. So I can take advantage of those.
So why are you guys all still oppressed?
Not you. It's not you guys.
Or the black community. What? Whichever. However you want to put it.
Why is it that? So here's the thing. Some people in general understand how to take advantage of those subsidies or the things that are being given away. So if you gave me $450,000, I know how to invest that. I know what to do with that money to be able to continue to grow it. So have my money make money. Okay. However, I learned that over time. I learned that through becoming educated. I learned that by becoming an entrepreneur, but by becoming a businessman, by being around people who understand how to operate, how to move money, how to make money grow. Okay. So if you give $450,000 to someone who does not have that ability or that education, that $450,000 is going to circulate back into the economy. However, that person is going to be broke again the next year. Okay. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're white, black, or indifferent. I don't care who it is. If you give money to someone who doesn't understand how to spend it, how to invest it, how to make the money work for them, they're going to be broke the next year.
Right.
We can look at all of the statistics of the people who won the lottery, or people who became millionaires or billionaires, or Mike Tyson, for example. You know what I mean? The sports people, basketball players, the football players who've gone
behind
broke.
the music.
Right.
VH1 was designed.
Yeah.
The whole narrative.
Hey, I was a millionaire, whatever. Now
Right.
I own a used car dealership and renting a 3-bedroom apartment.
So if you give people who don't know how to invest their money properly, that type of money, they're going to end up broke the next year anyway. So long story short, I started this conversation by saying that as a black man, as a black person in the United States today, it really doesn't matter who's in office for me to win. I'm going to win no matter what. And I'm sorry. I'm
All right.
And guess what? Hate me for it if you want to. I don't care. I'm going to win no matter who's in office, because if they're giving stuff away, I know how to take advantage of that and make it work for me. If they're not giving stuff away, but they're doing tax cuts, they're standing out of the way and they're not actively working against me, guess what? I know how to take advantage of that too.
As a white person, I'm not supposed to be annoyed by that because my ancestors treated your ancestors badly.
That's not what I'm saying. What
I'm
I'm saying is that I'm always going to win.
Well, nice job, Mike.
I didn't set the system up.
I didn't either.
I just played the game.
Don't hate the player.
Don't hate the player. And I get that. But if that's the case, then why are we bitching about reparations all the time?
Where people are upset and or concerned about having reparations because the foundational Black American, has been left behind when it comes to economic success or economic growth. Okay, not most. Let me rephrase that. There are some people who could, if you look at it on a per capita basis, okay, who could be doing a lot better had we not had Black Wall Street, had we not had the syphilis situation where they were injecting black people with syphilis to see what's going to happen to them, and all the black males died from it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So if we hadn't had these things happen, Black America would be in the same boat as white America at this point.
You can't guarantee
in
that.
history. Black Wall Street proves it. Okay, we were black people at that point in time were extremely successful. They were doing very well. They had money, they had wealth, they had, property. They were doing well. Okay, and it was all burned down and taken away.
Burned to the ground.
Correct.
Nobody is learning about that in school.
And that's the thing. We need to be teaching that, not teaching it as, oh, white people are.
And that's where we circle
disgusting
back
and
around
this
to
is what's
critical race
happening.
theory. The word critical in race theory, and the fact that it's that right there says, okay, well, we're going to be critical of the race and how they treated each other, or the connotation or the perspective that we have of them throughout the decades. And now it still points to, hey, you're at fault because you're white, and he's oppressed because he's black. And if you're teaching that in schools,
Right.
like, and you and I have, since we had that conversation on the podcast, I don't know which number it was, you've done more research, and you agree. You kind of come over to my side where I'm like,
I still think American history needs to be taught. I just don't think it needs to be taught in a perspective where we're saying that white people are bad and black people are oppressed.
right.
That's what needs to be excluded.
Right. And that's the part that people are denying is actually included, because that's the part that is subjective and not necessarily written in the textbooks, but it's how it's taught. And those are, like in Virginia, when, we had a Republican governor that won Virginia. Okay. And I don't know I've been super distracted and busy lately with my own business that I haven't really dug into all the details of that. But the denial that the school system and the education system has as to whether or not critical race theory is part of the curriculum is what is driving a lot of people to fight back, because just because it's not in a textbook.
Well, here's the thing. It's not just white people that are fighting against that. There are a lot of black people who are speaking up against it as well, because we're not freaking victims. We don't feel
right.
as though we're victims.
How are they not just like kicking you down more by saying, that's not the right way to say it.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just,
how are you not continuing the perpetuation of oppression?
Right. If you keep telling,
if you can keep telling black people in general that you're not going to get ahead because of what happened to you in the past, or because of what happened to your ancestors in the past.
Yeah.
You're never going to get ahead.
And
You're
it's all
never
the
going
fault
to be-
of their
and it's-
ancestor,
and
the guy
it's-
that sins, the kid that's sitting right next to
Right.
you. It's his ancestor's fault.
Right.
Whether it, whatever.
Right.
And so that
And
is
it's
perpetuates the hate.
It's not just his ancestors' fault. It's his fault because his ancestors did such an X, Y, and Z. So now we're continuing this divide situation
never
where
gonna
we're
end.
dividing people, and we're teaching kids this. We're teaching kids that it's okay to be racist when it comes to the way critical race theory is being
Right.
taught. So now I understand, because you said something about why don't we change the name of critical race theory and this, that, and the other. I don't think we need to change the name. I just think we need to have a specific way that it's being taught. We need to say, hey, this is the history of America. Just like we talk about the gold rush. Right? We say,
Why does it have to be
gold-
called critical race theory? A race anything? It should be considered American history.
American history.
Civics.
I agree. This is what happened in America. White people came over from Anglo-Saxon white people came over from England.
Mm-hmm.
They
Get away from the queen.
conquered America. Okay, by taking over the Indians' land, the American Indian,
Right.
or
I feel like it was maybe they showed up and there
they-
was a little self-defense going on there, and they just happened to be the stronger.
they were the stronger race and they took over. Okay, guess what? It happens in the Bible. It happened in history.
Right.
It happened. Everybody takes over eventually. It happens. Okay, and it just so happens in history, in our recent history, it happened to be white people that did it. Okay, then the white people decided, hey, you know what? We want to cultivate this land. We want to farm this land. We don't want to do it ourselves, so what are we going to do? Oh, guess what? The Spaniards are selling slaves. Let's buy a couple of slaves. And then they decided, hey, you know what? Guess what? We could cut the Spaniards out and we just go get our own slaves. So they ran out to Africa and started taking their own slaves. First they were buying them. Then they just started taking people. Okay? They brought them on boats and they brought them across here and they took it. It's history. It's what happened. It is not what is going on today.
Right. Not in this country anyway. There is still.
No, there's probably still some sex slavery and stuff going on, but that's a subject for another show.
Yes, it is. Mike, when we started this show, I think we were both not as much on the same plane about a lot of the conversations that we were having. But I really feel as we've gone along this path of, and with the podcast, that our conversations have kind of brought a better understanding for each of us as to what the other side thinks or feels.
Right.
And do you agree?
I absolutely agree. So I think when we started this off, if we have to put this on a scale, you were not far right, but you were, let's just put it on a scale of a 1 to 100. Okay. So 1 being staunch liberal, 100 being staunch Republican. Okay, so you were probably at maybe
70-ish?
70, and I was probably at the 40, 30 line. I think you and I, based on the conversations that we've had and the research that we've done and the understanding that we've gained from one another, I think we've come more closer to that. I don't think we're either one of us at 50%.
No.
But I think we've come closer only because we respect one another and we listen to one another and we accept the opinions of our listeners, like Tracy, our guest, like Tracy and Jenny. They came on and they said a few things that is like, you know what? I never thought of it that way.
Right. And that's the purpose of this show, entirely the purpose of this show, to let people see both sides of things,
right,
and recognize that there is another side of the story, and of course form your own opinions, but
Absolutely.
At least give you the opportunity of not being stuck only hearing it from the way right or the way left.
Well, here's the thing. Like Tracy said, we tend to gravitate towards people who believe what we believe.
Right.
And we sit and we have conversations with these people, and it's like, it's like a rally, where this is what we believe and this is how it is.
Right.
And we don't reach out to people who think differently than us in order to hear what they have to say.
Right.
And that's what this show is about. You're on this side, I'm on this side. We're listening to one another. We're hearing one another out. We're doing our research to find out, hey, is this true?
Right.
Is this what's really like critical race theory in the beginning? I was like, hey, I was staunch about, no, this needs to be taught. When I researched it and understood how it's being taught, I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're teaching black people that we're inferior? We're teaching white people that you're bad, you're garbage because of what
Because of your color.
No, because of what your ancestors did.
Right.
I'm like, no, this is not the way. Should critical race theory be taught? Absolutely. We should teach the history of America. but in a way that we're not oppressing anyone or making anyone feel as though that they're bad. But long story short, like you said, we started this conversation off to say that we're coming together.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the show is about.
Right. And we're not trying to change anybody's mind. We're just trying to have a conversation that, oh, yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or, seeing it from two different perspectives. And hopefully everybody that listens agrees. And we'd love your comments.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm Mike Sewell.
I'm Amy Alexander. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment.
No doubt.